The bicycle. One summer day, a pigeon delivered a parcel to Berry and Dolly. It was quite a big parcel and wrapped in pretty red paper and tied with a blue ribbon. Dolly read the note attached. "It's from the centipede! Hooray! He's coming to visit us soon, and he sent us this present." "To us?" Berry asked. "What do you mean? To me or you?" "It says in the letter that it's for us. It's a present for both of us, I suppose." "That's silly," Berry argued. "I'm sure it's meant to be for me, because I was the one who found him in the snow last Christmas." "But he stayed at my house. I looked after him and made him tea," Dolly replied. "But I read him caterpillar stories from the storybook," Berry added. The red wrapping paper wasn't that strong, and it soon tore open. Wheels poked out from underneath. "It's a bicycle," Berry exclaimed. "It's just perfect for me." "No, it's just perfect for me," Dolly insisted. "All right, you can have the bicycle if you want it so much. I'll be the bigger person. You're behaving like a silly baby." That upset Berry. "That's not fair. I'm going to be the bigger person and you're the silly baby. You can have the bicycle." In the end, neither of them took the bicycle. They walked away and left the half-unwrapped bicycle in the meadow. Not long after that, Balthazar the bee and Flutter the butterfly came by.
"What do you think it is? Is it a bicycle?"
Balthazar asked. "Yes, it looks like it," Flutter replied. "There's a note stuck to it. It's for Berry and Dolly from the centipede."
"Let's take it to them,"
Balthazar suggested. They touched the bicycle and the rest of the wrapping paper fell off. This made them laugh. "Look, it's a tandem. 2 people can ride it."
"Let's have a go,"
Balthazar said. "Hello, Berry. Hello, Dolly. We brought you your bike. You left it in the meadow," Flutter shouted. Berry and Dolly came outside. They saw Flutter and Balthazar on the bicycle and felt very silly.
"Oh, it's a tandem. We can both sit on it."
"And we had such a fight about it." They made friends again and hugged each other happily.
"What a super present. We wasted all our time quarrelling and we haven't made anything for the centipede. He could arrive at any minute," Berry said in a panic.
"Let's make him a colourful windmill. We can use pretty petals," Flutter suggested. "Yes, that's a great idea," Berry and Dolly agreed. The 4 friends gathered red, purple, white, yellow and pink petals and made a windmill. Just then, the centipede arrived in a cart pulled by a mouse. The little mouse stopped in the meadow and the centipede climbed out. He gave Berry and Dolly a big hug. "I see you got my present. I hope you like it." "It's beautiful. We love it," Berry and Dolly said. "And we made you this windmill." The centipede stayed with Berry and Dolly for 10 whole days. They went for long rides on their bicycle. They talked, sang and played a lot. They had a very good time, but the happy days passed soon. "I have to go home now. I've had such a super time here," the centipede said. "Do come and visit us again next summer," Berry and Dolly said, as they waved goodbye to their friend. The Yellow Ladybird. The spring had come at last. Dolly decided it was time to tidy up her flower garden. She got her spade and a rake and tied a pretty dotted scarf around her head. She had only just stepped outside when she heard someone groaning behind her house. "Christopher, your wing looks broken," the little ladybird exclaimed.
The sun shone in my eyes and I flew straight into a tree. I really hurt myself, the canary said.
Just then, Berry the snail and Stanley the stag beetle arrived.
Stanley, please go and get Dr. Owl. Christopher's wing's broken,
Dolly said, taking control. Dr. Owl soon arrived. It looks like a very bad break, he said seriously. Then carefully and slowly he bandaged Christopher's broken wing.
You know, Dolly, Christopher said one day, there's a little ladybird living on the island I come from.
Really? Is she red with black dots like me? Dolly asked excitedly. And what's her name?
She's called Katie. Her back isn't red, it's yellow, but her dots are black like yours. She looks a lot like you. Why don't you come to meet her when my wing's better?
That sounds like a super idea. Can Berry come too?
Of course he can. There's enough room for both of you on my back.
A few days later, Dr. Owl came to visit the injured canary. He was happy to say that Christopher's wing was as good as new. The canary thanked the owl for his help, put Berry and Dolly on his back, and headed for his island home. They soon found themselves flying over a large lake with a little island in the middle of the water.
Can you see it? We're flying to that island. My nest is on top of the highest tree. Hold on tight. We're coming in to land.
Christopher landed perfectly, and Berry and Dolly climbed down.
You can't catch me,
shouted a bright beetle in an orange dress. She was talking to the tiny fleas running after her.
Watch out,
Dolly shouted, but the girl beetle ran right into her.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to knock you over. My name's Katie. Who are you? Oh, you're Katie. We're here to see you. My name's Dolly, and I've come a long way to meet my ladybird cousin. Ladybird cousin?
Katie asked with a puzzled smile.
Yes. You've got black dots just like me, except you're yellow instead of red. Wow, you're right, the yellow ladybird said. Come with me and I'll show you my house, Katie said.
As soon as they saw Katie's house, Berry and Dolly started to laugh.
My house looks exactly like this, but mine's red.
Berry, Dolly and Katie took a long walk around the island.
There's the pine forest with the little stream running next to it. We built the bridge ourselves, Katie explained with pride.
And what's that in the middle of the meadow? Berry asked. It looks like a slide.
That's right. It's a special flower slide. Come with me. I'll show you.
Can I have a go?
Of course you can. Follow me,
Katie said and slid down on the curvy slide. Berry, Dolly and Katie slid down the slide again and again until it started to get dark.
It's getting late. Come on, you two, I'll take you home, Christopher said.
Dolly and Katie swapped headscarves as a parting present.
Have a safe trip home, Katie told them. Do visit me again sometime.
It was getting very late by the time Christopher arrived at Dolly's dotty house. The moon shone and the sky was full of sparkling stars.
February. Fancy dress at Stanley's. February had arrived and it was nearly time for carnival. The little forest friends were discussing what costumes they would have. It's a shame that the fancy dress ball can only have one winner, Bubble announced unexpectedly. Last year, Sophia won with her sunshine costume and it was very pretty. But I also like Stanley's dice costume and Eddie's chef's outfit. I agree, Dolly added. What if we change the competition this year? And we dress up in groups. The girls could be angels and the boys devils. Or We could be fruit and vegetables, the ladybird girl explained. What a splendid idea! And so they agreed that the boys would be fruit and the girls would be vegetables. Then they decided who would be what. The boys: Stanley, pear; Eddie, peach; Balthazar, grape; Berry, apple; Bubble, strawberry; Morris, fig; the woodworm, cherry; Charlie, pineapple; Frank, lemon; the firebug, apricot; Alfonso, banana; Dr. Owl, melon; the fireflies, blackberry, raspberry, blueberry, blackcurrant and plum. The girls: Dolly, carrot; Flutter, potato; Leapy, onion; Zafia, squash; Rosita, cabbage; Iris, broccoli; Betty, aubergine; the ant queen, pumpkin; Odette, cucumber; the star girl, lettuce; the fireflies, beetroot, radish, pepper, tomato and kohlrabi. A week passed and the day of the ball arrived. The little beetles arrived in their new costumes at Stanley's house. Dr. Owl's watermelon costume was a great success, but they all loved each other's costumes. Then Snail, Sam and Katie arrived. Hi, we decided to come along too. But Snail, Sam and Katie lived on a faraway island, and they had no way of knowing that everyone had come as a fruit or vegetable. Sam was dressed as a basketball, and Katie had come in a pencil costume. We need to alter your costumes, Stanley stated. Alfonso immediately knew what to do. I know! The yellow pencil can be a sweet corn, and if we take the black stripes off the basketball, it can be an orange, he suggested. That's a super idea, the friends agreed, and they quickly transformed the new guests' costumes. Now Katie could join the vegetables with her sweet corn costume, and Snail Sam's orange outfit meant he could join the fruit. They danced until late in the evening, until Christopher the Canary arrived with a big basket of donuts. They all ate a donut and then set off home. Stanley laughed at the sight of the flying watermelon. Then Dr. Owl shouted, "Look, snowdrops!" Alfonso and Bubble rushed over and stared in wonderment at the first flowers of spring.
Lanterns. The fireflies lived in a little round house that hung from the branch of a tree on the top of a hill. They woke up one summer morning to find their house was blowing back and forth like a giant swing. "There's a storm outside, the wind's rocking the house," one of the fireflies said in a terrified tone. "We'll have to stop it or the house will break off the branch," a second firefly shouted, but it was already too late. The rope broke and the house began to fall. "Ah!" the fireflies shouted and flew out of the windows as quickly as they could. No one was hurt, but the house was ruined. The forest friends gathered to see what all the noise was about. "The house is smashed up," cried the littlest firefly, and he ran to Dolly. "We'll build you a new one," Balthazar offered. "The biggest problem is that all our lanterns broke," the head firefly told them. We'll stick them back together somehow. Berry nodded. No, Berry, they can't be stuck back together. We have to go and see the great lightning beetle. Only he can give us new lanterns, the firefly informed him. When do we leave? The others asked. Right away. The fireflies all set off. Have a good trip, Berry and Dolly shouted after them. They flew for 3 long days. They spent the first night under the cap of a mushroom. On the second night, they cuddled up in a cave. Then on the 3rd day, they arrived at the lightning beetle's house. The old beetle's house looked just like the firefly's lamps, but it was much bigger. The lightning beetle slowly opened the door. He had difficulty moving around and his silver wings draped down over his bent back. He wore a tall, poky hat and his beard hung down to the ground. He looked just like a wizard. Come on in, he muttered. The fireflies told him how their house had fallen to the ground and how all their lanterns had smashed. That's what's happened. Only you can help. Very well, I'll help you. I'll give you all new lanterns, but you need to take good care of them. You're the only ones in the forest who can bring light to the dark night. One by one, he carefully handed the lamps to the fireflies. Hold them tight, he said, and he waved his stick, and the light magically appeared in the lamps. They're so pretty, thank you. We promise that we'll take good care of our new lanterns, the fireflies told him, and then they all flew out of the house. Where are we going to live when we get home? They asked each other in a worried buzz. But they did not have to worry for long. Hey, come over here. This is your new house, shouted Berry, Dolly, Balthazar, Flutter, Stanley, and all the other forest friends. We built you a house in the hole in this tree, said Berry. And we made the windows and a door, Flutter continued. Your house definitely won't fall down again now, Balthazar announced with pride. Thank you, the fireflies all said, and they went tiredly to bed. They climbed into the 15 beds and were all soon fast asleep. Bubbles. Leapy, Zephyr, Berry and Bubble were having a contest to see who could blow the biggest bubbles. Look at the size of those. Leapy's the best, Bubble cheered. The grasshopper girl blew bigger and bigger bubbles while the others stood around and clapped. Christopher soon arrived carrying Dolly and her yellow cousin KEDD Ladybird. Can we join in the game? Berry passed the bubble blower to Dolly, and the 2 tiny ladybirds began to blow bubbles. Look at the size of those ones. Katie's bubbles are even bigger than Leapy's. Leapy gave Katie a grumpy look and started to blow bubbles again, but none as large as Katie's. You're a very clever ladybird girl. You've blown the biggest bubbles today. Katie's not even a real ladybird. Her back's yellow. She should paint it red instead. Leapy, it's mean to tease, and you're only teasing because Katie blew bigger bubbles than you. Leapy, you've upset Katie. Help me cheer her up again. I think I'd rather go home. She really didn't mean it. She was only being mean because of the bubbles. Leapy arrived home in the meantime, but she did not know what to do with herself. She sat down to eat, but her food tasted all wrong. She started to draw, but she kept getting it wrong. And then she decided to take a walk. Christopher the canary happened to be flying by.
I didn't mean to upset Katie.
I know, Christopher smiled, and he wrapped his wings around the sobbing grasshopper girl.
It's not nice to tease. I didn't mean to. Katie is a real ladybird, and her yellow wings look lovely. Then tell her just that, like you've told me.
Leapy decided to take Christopher's advice. She set off to tell Katie that she did not mean to upset her. But when she arrived, all she said was,
"What are you doing?"
"We're going for a trip to the lake," Katie replied. And just then, Harry Hedgehog arrived with his Conker carts. Dolly and Katie jumped in the back and they were off on their way. Leapy stood and gave a sad wave. The next day, she set off again to say sorry to Katie. Katie was sitting down by the lake.
"Hi, Katie,"
she began.
"There's something I'd like to say."
But before she could begin, Spider arrived.
I've got to go, Leapy. You can tell me tomorrow, okay?
Katie told her and jumped onto Spider's back and hurried off with Dolly and Flutter.
Why are you so sad?
Bubble asked.
"I'd like to apologise to Katie, but it keeps going wrong."
Don't be sad. Come inside. We'll think of something. I've got an idea already. Why don't you give Katie a little present?
"I know. I could give her my bubble blower,"
Leapy exclaimed and hugged the little flower beetle. Leapy wrapped the bubble blower up the moment she got home, and she could hardly wait to give the yellow butterfly girls a lovely present. The sun was setting in the sky when she walked over to the spotty house. Dolly, Katie, Zephyr and Berry were planting flowers outside.
"What beautiful flowers! Can I help too?"
Of course you can. I'll show you which flowers we're planting where, Dolly explained.
"Katie, I brought this for you,"
Leapy stuttered and passed the package to the Yellow Ladybird girl.
"It was silly of me to say that you're not a real butterfly."
Katie opened the parcel and smiled.
A bubble blower! Thank you, Leapy. I'm not upset anymore.
Bad dream. It was a stormy night and Berry the little snail was getting ready to go to sleep. He brushed his teeth and jumped into bed. He soon heard a strange noise outside. I suppose it's just the wind. Then he heard the noise again. What could that be? He popped his slippers on and opened the door, but couldn't see a soul. I must be imagining things, he said, and slipped back into bed. But then someone knocked again. Who is that? Berry grumbled. He threw the door open and stared outside. Grub, come inside. You're so tiny that I didn't see you. What's wrong?
I had a bad dream. Can I stay with you for the night?
The grub said. Of course you can stay. Berry set to work folding a cardboard box into a bed for the grub. There you go. You can sleep here.
And what can I use for a blanket?
My hat should do the trick.
It's just like a sleeping bag.
That's good, grub. Now get some sleep. I'm very tired. Berry was just dropping off to sleep when the green grub spoke.
Can I have the light on, Berry? I'm scared in the dark.
The moon's so bright in the sky tonight. There's nothing to be afraid of. Now try and get some sleep.
But it's dark,
the grub went on. It's not dark.
It is dark.
Oh, all right. I'll open the curtains and you'll be able to see the moon. The stars are twinkling too. Now let's sleep, Berry complained. The little snail pulled his blanket up to his nose and he was soon fast asleep. But the green grub woke him up again.
I'm thirsty.
Then have a drink, Grub, Berry barked.
I can't reach. Please help me, Berry. I only want a drop of water. Thank you. Sleep well.
And Berry would have slept well if the green grub hadn't woken him up again.
I'm hungry now.
It's too late to eat. We'll have breakfast in the morning.
But I'm hungry. I've had no supper because of the storm.
The grub complained.
Thank you. I won't disturb you again.
The green grub promised. But he didn't keep his promise.
Berry, I can't get to sleep. I'm scared.
He said and woke the little snail up again. What are you scared of? Berry asked with an exhausted yawn.
I don't know. Please tell me a story that always sends me off to sleep.
All right, I will. I'll never be able to get to sleep now anyway. Berry started to tell the tiny grub a story. He told him about the day the kite flew away, how they found the mushroom's cap, how Dr. Owl cured his earache, and what the centipede got for Christmas. But the grub hardly heard any of it because he was soon sound asleep. Berry could at last get to bed. By the time they woke, the storm had passed and the sun was shining. Can you see that picture by my bed? Sometimes I have bad dreams too, and when I do, I think of that fairy. She helps chase all the nasty thoughts and bad dreams away. I'll draw you a picture of something you really like and you can stick it over your bed. Then if you feel sad, you can look at it and you'll soon feel better and the bad dream will float away.
The sun. Draw me a picture of the sun. I really like him. He's always smiling. It's really nice. Thank you,
said the grub. Stick it on your wall over your bed, Berry said. The grub took the picture with a smile and walked happily home. Blueberries. One sunny autumn day, Berry and Dolly went into the forest to pick blueberries. Their friends Flutter the butterfly and Eddie the potato beetle went with them.
I'm going to pick the most blueberries,
Eddie announced.
Look, this bush is full of ripe blueberries,
the little snail said.
I'm going to pick them all.
But Eddie jumped in front of Berry and quickly picked the biggest berries.
This bush is full of berries too,
Dolly told the others. But the little potato beetle was faster again. By the time Dolly got to the bush, he'd already picked the best of the berries.
Eddie, that's not fair. Don't pick all the berries,
the little ladybird complained. Then the friends came to a stream.
Let's build a bridge over the stream,
Flutter suggested.
And I know exactly how. Let's all go and bring that big log here.
They had to work hard to pull the heavy log over the stream. The little friends made a super bridge together.
It's done,
Flutter sighed.
Look, there's another blueberry bush with lots of berries on it.
That was Eddie's cue.
I'm going to get there first. Those blueberries are all mine,
he shouted triumphantly. But he pushed past Flutter so hard that she slipped and fell into the stream.
Help!
Don't worry, Flutter. Hold on to me, Dolly shouted and stretched her hand out to the floundering butterfly. But the water flowed too fast and Flutter couldn't reach Dolly. Berry picked up a long stick.
Grab the stick, Flutter,
he shouted. But this didn't work either because the river started to carry the little butterfly away.
Eddie, help! We've got to pull poor Flutter out of the water,
Dolly yelled, and they pulled the soggy butterfly out of the stream.
Oh my, I'm so cold. I'm very, very cold. And my little wings are soaked through. Here, take my jumper. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry, Flutter, Eddie said. That's very nice of you, Dolly said. But you'll catch a cold too without your jumper. We should collect a large pile of leaves and wrap Flutter up in them.
Berry, Dolly and Eddie gathered a big bunch of burdock leaves and covered the shivering butterfly with them.
I'm still very cold and my wings don't work. Look, they're all wet and ruined.
Flutter started to sob. The sun took pity on the weeping butterfly and came down close to warm her wings. Flutter's wings were soon beautifully dry and as good as new.
Hooray! I'm all dry and warm at last. Thank you, sun,
Flutter said with a smile.
I'm so sorry, Flutter, Eddie said. I promise I won't pick all the blueberries next time. I want you to have all the ones that I've picked. Thank you, Eddie. Why don't we share them instead? Let's hurry home and bake a blueberry pie.
The friends all walked back to Flutter's house and got to work straight away. They picked all the leaves off and gave the blueberries a good wash. Spoons stirred and pans clattered until the kitchen was filled with the sweet smell of delicious blueberry pie. The yummy dessert was soon ready. Stanley the stag beetle, Balthazar the bee and Bubble the baby beetle came along to join the feast. The forest friends all sat around the table and chatted late into the night. Christmas. It was a crisp winter day and Berry the snail and Dolly the ladybird went into the woods to look for a bunch of Christmas greenery.
Look, Berry, this little tree got knocked over in the storm. Let's take it home. We can decorate it for Christmas. Hooray! We'll have a real Christmas tree, Berry shouted.
They lifted the tree up and saw a centipede sheltering under its branches.
Help me, Berry. Let's put him on the sledge. He's hurt himself and looks very cold. We can take him to my house.
They lifted the centipede carefully onto the sledge.
Will he be all right?
Berry worried.
Of course he will,
Dolly reassured her friend. When they got home, they put the poorly centipede to bed. Dolly made him hot tea and Berry read him caterpillar stories from a storybook. Next morning, the centipede opened his eyes and smiled a little smile. He got better every day and soon he was healthy again. Dolly asked him to stay.
You're so nice. Don't go, centipede. Spend Christmas with us.
Well, thank you. I'd love to stay.
But what should we get him for Christmas?
Dolly wondered.
What would make a centipede happy?
Dolly told him her idea. The little snail nodded excitedly. Berry and Dolly went to see the ants. The queen ant welcomed them with open arms. Dolly told them what kind of present she'd thought of. "We can make anything you want," said the queen. Christmas came and Berry and Dolly made a tree stand. As night fell, Berry gave Dolly her present.
Merry Christmas, Dolly. Thank you, Berry, the ladybird said. She was delighted. It's beautiful.
Dolly was very happy and wound the pretty ribbon around the tree.
Merry Christmas to you too,
Dolly said, and handed Berry his present.
Sparklers, super. Let's put them on the tree.
They lit the sparklers and crackling sparks danced around the Christmas tree. The glittering light attracted lots of tiny fireflies, and each brought a Christmas decoration. Even the centipede helped to trim the tree. Soon the ants arrived carrying a parcel. They handed it to Berry and Dolly.
"This is our present to you, centipede," Berry said to him. "Merry Christmas."
Boots! He shouted happily.
"They'll keep your little feet warm when you're walking in the snow,"
Dolly explained. The friends' celebrations went on late into the night. There was Eddie the potato beetle, Stanley the stag beetle, Alfonso the cricket, and Rosita the rose beetle. The fireflies built a big snowman with the little ants. They all sang and danced around the Christmas tree. Flutter the butterfly came to celebrate with them. Zephyr the dragonfly danced with Leapy the grasshopper. Berry and Dolly skipped around with Balthazar the bee. When the party was over, the centipede cleaned his boots and put them on a shelf. What a wonderful day I've had. It's a shame that Christmas only comes once a year.